just wanted to introduce our new format for Dubsta brand on YouTube, and welcome Tom from Boyds of Bedford, who's kindly come in to have a chat with us this morning. So, like I say, it's a new format. We want to give you Volkswagen lovers something interesting to watch on YouTube, and here we are. So, Tom, you run Boyds of Bedford. Perhaps you can tell us a little bit about Boyds of Bedford.
Yeah, sure. So Boyds of Bedford is a, I guess, fashion and lifestyle brand. We produce handmade, hand-printed kind of garments that we do
like
all in-house.
This kind of stuff.
Like that kind of stuff, and this kind of stuff. That we do it all ourselves in-house by hand. But I guess it's focused. We kind of say it's made by hand, inspired by machine. So we're very much into cars and motorcycles and all that kind of good stuff that goes around it. And with that, I suppose the other kind of element of Boyds is that we arrange meets. So we have like a monthly motorcycle meet at a brewery in Bedford, beer and motorcycles, a heady combination. And we also do a kind of classic and custom car and bike meet at a place called Twinwoods in Bedford as well. So I suppose a bit of that. It's a weird place now because there's a lot of abandoned buildings there. And it's kind of got this like dystopian wasteland aesthetic, which is kind of cool. But there's still, like, Red Bull have got a wind tunnel there, which is like a really impressive building. So there's kind of lots of interesting activity going on there, but equally there's like gigantic, just empty rat infested buildings. There's like a building that's burnt down and stuff. So it's this, I'm really selling it here, but there's also really nice bits of it as well. But it's a really interesting backdrop. And
I was going to say, that sounds amazing for photo shoots and videos and stuff.
100%, yeah.
Have you got plans for that in the future?
You know, it's potentially. I've got a phone. You know what I mean? I dropped the hammer on my camera, so I don't even have a camera. So yeah,
it's got to be said, the phone is such a good device these days, isn't it?
Yeah, I have a good phone. You know, I've got the best phone. That's kind of my one indulgence, is that I always get the best phone when they come out. But yeah, but definitely it's something, you know, that we'll try and create content around that. But for me, it's like just both of the venues that we've got for our meets are about having a meet somewhere that is quite interesting. You know, I think certainly more so with motorcycles and cars to a degree. Like, you know, people do car meets in like the car park of a freaking retail place. Do you know what I mean? Like outside Argos.
Or a famous fast food place.
Yeah. And it's like, I mean, that ain't cool. And likewise with motorcycles, it can often be, you know, a roadside cafe, you know, a greasy spoon and that kind of thing. And we're just trying to make it perhaps a little bit more interesting aesthetically, but equally discerning. So we have a mobile shop with a coffee shop, and we sell like locally roasted coffee from a company called Hot Numbers. So it's, you know, again, like with our product, it's about trying to offer something that's a little bit different, that's quality, handmade, you know, thought through. And I think that's what we try and do about meets as well, is just make it a bit of a change from being in a concrete car park somewhere, you know.
Awesome. So tell me a bit more about this van, actually, because this is something that I've seen pop up on your YouTube not so long ago. I know that you had some challenges with Boyds, as many small businesses did, running through COVID. I have to say, that's one of the things that really attracted me to your brand, was the transparency that you had around some of those challenges. And we'll touch on that in a moment, if you don't mind. But you've just bought what brand of van?
It's a Volkswagen.
That's what we like to hear. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I've seen this van in the flesh, and it's pretty cool.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, thank you. So it's an old Volkswagen LT35, the wedge kind of shaped one. Yeah. And it's a horse box, which, without wanting to get into too much detail, we did have a bricks and mortar store which closed down following, obviously, the challenges that COVID presented, and Boyds effectively ceased to be. But following lots of, response from our customers and friends, we did a crowdfunder to relaunch, and we crowdfunded to basically relaunch the business as a brand new business, completely self-funded, and build a mobile shop and coffee shop. So we've got this old LT35 horse box. Kind of the side drops down, creates like a stage area, which is a kind of retail space, and I fit it out with a coffee machine which can operate fully off grid. So we've got solar panels on there, and it can be run
this is awesome.
on gas. So so again, it was like, actually, let's rather than wait for people to come to us, which is what the traditional approach was, why don't we go to people? And it allows us to do our meets and almost be like a movable shop that we can turn up in any interesting location, drop the slide down, and be a pop-up shop, pop-up meet, pop-up whatever, really, I suppose.
I love that. I absolutely love that. It's thinking outside the box and taking something that's old and perhaps would have gone into retirement and making it into a proper working commodity. I think that's fantastic. And you mentioned there very briefly that you ran a crowdfunder. You did that successfully, which is it's unusual. A lot of crowdfunders really find it difficult. And have you got any tips for anyone who wants to set up crowdfunding and what you think worked for you, how you managed to be successful with yours?
Yeah, I think if you can cry on camera, that's a really good. No, I'm joking. I think it's to be very clear about the narrative. Do you know what I mean? I think if you want to just, a lot of people were just like, oh, I've decided to start this business, and I think you would like this business, so chip in towards it, which is fine up to a certain point. But I think the more of a narrative that you've got around the story behind that, and I say we were very fortunate. The opposite, we were very unfortunate that the circumstances weren't the greatest. We'd relocated from a small shop in town to our new unit, which is just outside of Bedfordshire, and we opened in January, and then March we'd closed for COVID. And I think people were like, everyone can empathise with that. And
I remember it well because you were just about to run a Volkswagen meet at the time, and I think that sort of coincided with the world turning into a more challenging environment for every business, and particularly for small businesses.
And we're not completely out of the woods with that. One of the big things that I was committed to doing when it came to us starting our meets, so we only restarted our meets last month, and that was because I wouldn't do it when there was any kind of regulation in place, and that's not because I don't agree with it or anything like that, but it's like I don't want to be the arbiter of regulations that are in place that people want to disagree with and have a debate with you about. And I was like, I'd just rather not have that debate. It's not a political statement or anything like that. I'd just rather let's just all be able to do whatever we wanted. And it was getting to that point with the shop. So we made a conscious decision to close the shop before. Well, the first time around we were forced to close the shop, then we did reopen briefly, but then we made a conscious decision to close the shop for a number of reasons, primarily financial, but equally the pressure that it was putting on us to try and enforce rules and regulations that quite rightly were there to protect people's health, but
it's hard enough to run a business.
So hard, yeah. And so, for instance, we had those meets booked in, and we would have, on a Saturday, we'd have 50 or 60 cars and motorcycles parked up at our unit, and you're like, should we be doing this now? Do I really want to be making that decision? Do I want to be responsible for being an access? Because we have people coming in from all over the country to come to Boyd, so
the risk of becoming a hotspot.
Which Bedford ultimately did end up being. I'm not taking full blame for that, but it's definitely.
I don't think that was solely down to you, Tom. I know your meets are good, mate. But...
I do a lot of tongue kissing as well. So, there's probably some of that.
Could be. So you mentioned obviously you've got your pop-up shop, which is a Volkswagen, which we're glad to hear, but you've also got a bit of a history with Volkswagens, haven't you?
Yeah, definitely.
You've owned a few, so perhaps you could tell us a bit about the ones you've owned.
Yeah, I've had quite a few Volkswagens. I guess I am a dubber. So I've had, maybe 5 or 6 Beetles from like a 63 up to a 73 that I've had at various times. Type 3 squareback. I've had pretty much every mark of Golf, I think, at some point. I've had a couple of T5s, a T6, and obviously the LT35. I've had a couple of Caddies, Mark 1s. Yeah. And my wife currently has a 2005 Beetle convertible, which is new to her, which is great. So yeah, I've had a long history of Volkswagen. I actually worked for Volkswagen as well for some time on their kind of product training side of things.
And you still love them?
And I still love them, yeah.
That's good going.
Thank you. I know, yeah. I've had, we've all had the odd lemon here and there, but they've been good to me primarily. So I still have a great deal of passion for Volkswagens, and have designs on getting one again. But as I'm sure everyone knows, they ain't the cheapest vehicles out there anymore. To get one of these guys is nigh on impossible. You know, I think.
Yeah, they can be eye-watering.
Yeah, yeah, and they deservedly so, and I appreciate that they're going to maintain or grow their value, so they still make sense if you've got cash to get one in the first place. But I don't at the moment. So as you know, I sold a T5 pretty much at the point we shut Boyds to try and get some money back into the bank, and weirdly I'd sold a T6 because again I could get such good money for it. It was DSG, it was really well spec'd, and I got made a really good price for it. I bought a T5, and so I released some cash and bought a T5 conversion, which you saw, and
yeah,
I thought I bought it for a particular price, and then I put it up for sale like 2 months later at the price I bought it at, and I was, you know, obviously willing to negotiate on that, and then I sold it at asking price because it went so quick, and like I say, you came to see it, didn't you? And
I did.
I then realised when the guy was coming to collect the van, I found the paperwork for when I bought it, and actually sold it for like $1,000 more than I bought it for.
Fantastic.
So I felt bad about it because I had to like be like, oh sorry, but it was a genuine mistake on my part. But it just showed what was happening with the value, and
the prices are incredibly inflated at the moment.
Oh, big time! Yeah. But you know, like I say, it's all relative, isn't it? Because you're getting in price is you know, if you're getting out price is strong as well. If you're the kind of person like me who changes vehicles, like I change pants, which is once every couple of months.
As often as that?
Yeah, I know, you'd be surprised by the smell. But
well, I did space the seat.
Yeah. Even that was generous. But when we came to sort of creating the pop-up shop, originally it was like, let's get a T5 or T6 or even T4, something I'm familiar with and I know my way around, and put an awning on it and do something like that. And then it was like, oh, the price of those is crazy. So I started then looking at sort of crafter vans.
Yep.
And that was more competitive, and that, but me being so tall, it was kind of like, okay, well, what else is there out there? And I happened to stumble along. I think I was searching for LT35s, as in the precursor to the crafter, so still a panel van, and then these horse boxes started popping up, and I was like, actually, they've got so much space, and yeah, I'm really pleased with what we've done and what we've created actually, and I
believe it's got some retro stripes on it as well.
Oh, big time, yeah. I'm not sure how long they'll last, to be honest with you. It's not the prettiest from the outside. Everyone's like, oh, you're not going to do anything to the outside. I'm like, I kind of kid myself that I want it to be a bit of a sleeper, that it basically looks like an abandoned vehicle from the outside, and then when the side drops and the music starts pumping and the coffee stops pumping and that, then people go, oh, this is cool. But
that's the sort of thing we love, to be fair.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think one day I will, at some point I'll have a painting party and try and get a space like this to stick it for a few days, get everyone round and sand it all down and Rust-Oleum it or something like that, do something interesting with it, because to protect it more than anything. But yeah, I'm really pleased with it. It's different for sure.
Very cool. Now, you also mentioned you just acquired a new Beetle convertible as well.
Yeah.
So have we got any, has it got any conversion